Starting with, to ensure potential errors are identified and rectified, and also to equip young voters to avoid similar mistakes on December 7, we organized a mock voting exercise to boost the electoral confidence of first-time voters. The Electoral Commission, along with other stakeholders, were present to address any issues that may arise.
All right, so we just ended the simulation exercise right here at the University of Ghana, where we saw our first-time voters partaking in the exercise. Now, I'm here with some of them, and I'm going to find out, with all what we've done today, are they prepared? Do they think they are prepared? How did the process go for you today?
So today being the first time we taking the practical aspect, even though we are now preparing for the final day, I think it's very interesting, and then I will encourage that this will continue.
So I got to realize that it's not you voting necessarily in the box, but as long as the voting stamp is like in alignment with the individual you want to vote for, your voting cast is valid.
Now, we didn't do the simulation exercise on our own. We had a rep from the Electoral Commission to help us through it. I have with me Mrs. Amponsandu Takor. Do you think our first-time voters are ready with what you've seen here today?
Yes, with what I've seen here today, I can confidently say that our first-time voters are ready. And what amuses me is the fact that they have heard a lot about the electoral process, because the questions they were asking tells us that they know what they are about.
Ghana goes to the polls in 9 days, and concerns about potential internet shutdowns are taking center stage. Advocates for free and open internet, including the Media Foundation for West Africa and partners, are urging the government to prioritize uninterrupted internet access before, during, and after the polls. Their message is clear. The internet is an important tool for information sharing, transparency, and connection of which is useful for democratic processes. Here is Mama V. Sefako Tay's report, read to you.
The Media Foundation for West Africa and partners say their concern about internet blackouts stem from similar incidents in other African countries during elections where government has shut down the internet, citing national security concerns. At a press conference in Accra, Kweku Krobia Asante, Senior Programs Officer at the Media Foundation for West Africa, called on the government to guarantee the availability of the internet during the election period.
This call because of what we have seen happening in other countries, especially even in Africa, countries who have had even stellar press freedom, democratic values even than Ghana. In recent years, we have seen them shutting down the internet. And so it has become necessary for us to protect what we have and call for consolidation of our democratic process by calling on the government to assure citizens that it is going to keep the internet on its own time.
Felicia Antonio is an advocate and campaign manager for the Keep It On initiative at Access Now. In her opinion, such measures have far-reaching negative impacts.
But then in places where the shutdown has happened, the chaos, it only brings chaos, because it means media cannot work, activists cannot work, people cannot access information. And sometimes we've seen in countries, remember that when these shutdowns happen, they don't happen on a normal, relaxed day. Maybe they are protesting on the streets, and then you see violence against protesters by the security. Sometimes it results in killings, like killings of several citizens, as we've seen in different parts of the world. And so it's really, really scary.
The MFWA and its partners are calling on communication stakeholders, regulators, and the government to strengthen their commitment to internet accessibility. Mamavi Sefakote's report for Joy News.
So with only 9 days remaining until the presidential and parliamentary elections, voters in the Sojaman constituency are putting pressure on political parties to present clear, actionable plans to address their top concerns: the high cost of living, youth unemployment, and the reduced cost of vehicle spare parts. In this edition of Constituency Lens, Carlos Kaloni takes us to a Sojaman constituency in the eastern region, where the two leading parties, the NPP and the NDC, are locked in a fierce debate over who has the better record and plans for the constituency. Here are some excerpts.
Where will this constituency lean in December? What factors are actually influencing voter decision here in the Esojaman constituency? I believe you want to know. And so come with me while we speak to voters to understand the factors that will inform their vote on December 7th.
We the youth, we are suffering from work and then money. We don't have, some of us, we don't have parents to support. So we need them to help us.
Everything is too much. The fare, I mean everything is high. So they need to do something about it.
Here they are not buying because the economy is very high. The passengers don't have money.
The MPs, if we vote for them and they win, they don't know us.
Oh, the youth employment in this community is very difficult because we only have VRA and the voter lake. So it's like if the course you study doesn't correspond to that area, that means we are not going to get any employment.
The kind of nepotism that this government has really shown that you have to belong to a particular circle before you are given some kind of attention. And you look at the basic things. Actually, I've really gone round, especially in Akosombo, and you see poverty staring at your face. You see people are suffering.
Right now, even Kenke, 2016, Kenke was 1 cedi, and we use it for campaign. But now Kenke is 7 cedi, 8 cedis. So I think that if any part that can come to power and they reduce the cost of living, I will vote for that person.
This, you see this thing? It's how much? 5 cedis.
I have 3 kids. Looking at it, the school fees alone is even killing me. They are saying free education, but forget about the free education. The books we buy, the things we buy, it's even more than the free education.
For the past 8 years, I have achieved a lot that the whole district assembly could not match. I have achieved a lot that the whole MPP government have not been able to do.
That cannot be true. That is palpable falsehood. Okay. Look, many of the things that the outgoing member of parliament, Thomas Ampemyako, speaks about are projects that are sponsored by NGOs. And now the people know.
Who brought in the NGOs?
Look, I'm saying that sometimes the NGOs come by themselves.
Reporting from Esojaman constituency, my name is Carlos Kaloni.
And the full piece will air this evening on the Joy News channel at 8 p.m, so do stay tuned for that. Now, in other stories, stakeholders in the upcoming general elections are undertaking a rigorous inspection of ballot papers at the Volta Regional Police Headquarters in Ho. The exercise is to ensure all materials dispatched to the region are intact, and that's in anticipation of free, fair and credible general elections on December 7th. Fred Kwame Asari tells us more.
2 trucks of the Electoral Commission arrived at the Volta Regional Headquarters in Ho yesterday at about 10 p.m. with the ballot papers. Due to the late hour arrival, political party agents and EC officials agreed to defer the inspection to this morning, placed seals and allocated men to guard the trucks. The inspection process resumed this morning and has so far been incident-free, with all stakeholders collaborating to ensure a successful exercise. Eric Jakpasu is the Volta Regional Director of the Electoral Commission.
We're expecting 186 presidential sacks of ballot papers and then 70 parliamentary sacks. These are broken down to the various constituencies.
The Volta Regional NDC Secretary, James Gunu, was unhappy with what he described as the late arrival of the election materials.
10 days to this crucial election, we are now receiving our ballot papers. Today's process, we have just started. We haven't gotten anywhere yet.
The Volta Regional NPP Secretary, Pope Yaoyevu, on the other hand, expressed satisfaction with the inspection process.
Yeah, so far so good. We are satisfied. We are expecting about 186 presidential bags. They are here. We are expecting 70 parliamentary bags. They are here.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Ho.
Ghana's transport sector is set for a transformation with the introduction of 100 electric buses for commercial use. The initiative promises to cut transport fares by 50% while advancing the country's shift towards a cleaner, sustainable energy future. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony in Accra, Vice President and NPP presidential candidate Dr. Mamudu Bawumia attributed the fare reduction to the lower operational and maintenance cost of electric vehicles. This move, according to him, reinforces Ghana's commitment to clean, sustainable energy.
Vice President Mamudu Bawumia explained that the electric buses were acquired to make public transport affordable and advance the country's efforts towards transitioning to clean energy. Unlike diesel and petrol-powered buses, the electric bus has significantly reduced fuel and maintenance costs, making it more affordable. Dr. Bawumia emphasized that the introduction of these eco-friendly vehicles will lead to a remarkable 50% reduction in transport fares while reinforcing Ghana's commitment to clean energy and sustainability.
The use of fossil fuel-powered vehicles, its impact on climate change and air pollution are no longer distant threats, but urgent realities that demand immediate action. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the economic benefits of using electric buses cannot be overemphasized. Electric buses, as we know, offer lower operating and maintenance costs compared to conventional diesel buses. The use of the electric bus will therefore translate into more efficient use of resources and cut operational costs by about 50% to the benefit of passengers.
Dr. Bawumia was hopeful that the electric buses will revive the fortunes of Metro Mass Transit, the company charged to manage the vehicles.
Metro Mass will be better positioned to enhance services, lower transport fares, and invest in fleet renewal and expansion efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, while the benefits are promising, the success of this project relies heavily on commitment to robust and continuous maintenance. The neglect and mishandling of buses will derail the effort that has gone into the acquisition of these buses. As a people, we should know that reckless use of public assets represents an enormous drain on national resources.
Head porters, popularly known as kayayes, are part of those trained to drive the electric buses as a way of getting them off the streets. The 100 electric buses are being piloted in Accra with plans to expand them to other parts of the country.
Now, as the general elections approach, there is growing pressure on presidential candidates to pledge their commitment to combating illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey. According to the Forestry Commission, 34 out of the country's 288 forest reserves are under threat due to galamsey activities. At a forum themed Unpacking Galamsey, Uncovering Treasures in Responsible Mining, Kenneth Ashigbe, coordinator of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, renewed calls for candidates to sign a Galamsey Pact. Here is Collins Rimpon's report, read to you.
The Ghana Water Company Limited continues to sound the alarm about the devastating effects of galamsey, with water turbidity levels rising sharply to 9,000 NTU in the central region, far beyond acceptable drinking standards. The environmental toll is equally confounding, with an estimated 4,726 hectares of land destroyed. During the forum, Kenneth Ashigbe called on presidential candidates, particularly from the NDC and the NPP, to publicly sign a pact to demonstrate their commitment to eradicating galamsey.
Today, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey has sent a letter to the presidential candidates. We're inviting them to sign a pact.
He insists that any candidate who refuses to sign this pact must be seen as an enemy of the state.
But that's why this time we're bringing the media on board and saying that this is what we're going to do. Those who decide that they are not going to sign the pact, they would be considered as enemies of the state.
To find a solution, Professor Fred Magbagonluri, President and Provost of Academic City University, insisted that the fight against Galamsey will remain futile unless financiers of illegal mining are prosecuted and held accountable.
The financiers that bring in the equipment that these people actually use in their nefarious acts are the ones that have actually escaped the noose of the law. And I think we need to identify the galamseyers that we know. They are in our communities. The big fishes need to be used as an example.
Collins Frimpont's report for Joy News.
Now, the acting Bono East Regional Head of the Environmental Protection Agency, that's the EPA, Emmanuel Languni, has called on the public to refrain from domestic and economic activities that endanger the environment, particularly the Tano River, which serves as the region's largest source of drinking water.
Tano River, the threats to the pollution will include the discharge of waste, because the Tano River flows through built-up areas. And so littering, for example, and open dumping of waste is one of the activities in the municipality that can affect the quality of water in the Tano River. Because once the waste is not disposed properly and it is dumped in an open space, when it rains, I mean, the rainwater will wash some of the waste even into the water body, and then it can get polluted.
Welcome to Business. In our first story, Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Elikplimi Komla Agboyo, is questioning the acceptability of the Bank of Ghana gold coins currently on sale. Now, although he admits the coin is a good asset, he believes the cost may push investors from wanting to carry physical gold. You will need at least 11,188 cedis to get a quarter ounce. Commenting on the latest development, Professor Agboyo was doubtful about its impactful value on the cedi. He spoke to Joy Business.
So this is a good asset. From a theoretical standpoint, it's a good asset to add to your portfolio. But the question is are investors ready now to hold physical gold? Now, if you are buying gold, it gives indirect exposure to the dollar.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives indirect exposure to the dollar, like I just explained.
All right.
So instead of buying dollars, investors could actually purchase this investment and still get some exposure to the dollar. But the key thing is, will it really affect the value of the cedi?
Exactly.
I don't think we know at this stage, because we don't know the volumes that may be involved. Will investors actually be receptive and hold large volumes of this investment? If they do, then it will reduce pressure on the cedi. If not, it may not have any significant effects.
Now, more financial institutions are accepting movable assets as collateral for loans. That's the verdict the third quarter collateral registry report released by the Bank of Ghana actually came forth with. The following report has more.
The development is a departure from what often happens in the past when it comes to collateral for a loan. This is because financial institutions used to depend on buildings and land as collateral for loans. However, it appears challenges in disposing these assets when people default have now been a major challenge for these financial institutions. Hence, their decision to fall on assets that can easily be liquidated. The collateral registry showed that individual borrowers constituted the largest recipient of the secured loans, representing a significant jump from what was recorded in the same period for last year. It also emerged that patronage of the collateral registry has picked up strongly for the third quarter of this year.
Up next is our currency market for today. With that, it's a wrap for business. Handing over back to Sweetie Abochi.
And that will be the end of the AM News Bulletin on the AM show. But stay, because the news review segment comes right up. Yusuf Suleimana is Member of Parliament for Bolebamboy, and he's joining us to review the newspapers. We'll be right back.